man who was fatally killed during hazing by one of your great Divine Nine fraternities, the Omega Psi Phi's, your Q Dogs, the ones that wear the purple and gold, whatever you want to call them. So we're gonna hear what's going on. We're gonna hear what Roland Martin has to say about this. I am not a Roland Martin fan, but I kind of want to hear what his opinion is because he is the alpha. So we'll see what he has to say about what happened in the great state of Louisiana. So here you go.
Authorities say more arrests are expected in connection with the death of a Louisiana college student. 23-year-old Caleb McCrae is charged with manslaughter and criminal hazing in the death of 20-year-old Caleb Wilson. Police say Wilson died in an off-campus incident where he was allegedly punched multiple times in the chest while pledging Omega Psi Phi fraternity. Wilson was a junior from New Orleans, majoring in mechanical engineering at Southern University. McCrae's attorney saying in a statement, "I maintain my client's innocence and urge the public to withhold rushing to judgment until all the evidence is heard." Joining me now to discuss this is journalist Roland Martin, host of the daily digital show Roland Martin Unfiltered. Roland, thank you for being here with us. According to this arrest warrant, Caleb Wilson and 8 other pledges were lined up at a warehouse off campus where they were each punched 4 times with boxing gloves. According to police, McCrae allegedly punched Wilson 4 times in the chest. Wilson collapsed and became unresponsive. Police say this was the result of hazing. Explain to us what hazing is and why it can sometimes become violent and physical, even when people know about the dangers.
Well, hazing varies, and so it may involve drinking, it may involve forcing somebody to run, doing various things. You've had cases where people have been forced to consume massive amounts of water. We see this with historically white fraternities, historically black fraternities. The problem that I have is, I have despised hazing my entire life. In April, it will be 36 years, since I finished pledging Alpha Phi Alpha, historically black fraternity. And the pledge process was changed because of this. And it is sinister, it is evil. And the problem is you have individuals who have this mentality that in order for you to earn these letters, then you need to be beaten, you need to be made into a man. And so these things have been happening for years. It is almost bankrupt our organizations. We've had to pay out millions of dollars in settlements to fraternities and sororities, and it's high time it ends. This is a young black man who goes to an HBCU. My understanding, his father was a legacy, meaning he was a member of the fraternity, and he's returning home in a body bag. I'm sorry, that's not brotherhood. That's not manhood.
Roland, explain why there is so much secrecy around the pledging and initiation process for so many Greek organizations.
Well, first and foremost, again, and people don't understand, historically black fraternities and sororities are far different than historically white fraternities in terms of, so for us, it's a lifelong commitment. And so when you talk about when you pledge, it's all about how do you have a line. That's those, when you pledge, you have a line. And then how do you establish a brotherhood connection with your line? So when you come into the fraternity, you understand what that means. And so those things are indeed important. The problem is when you have individuals who are 18, 19, 20, and people who actually graduated who have this notion that I need to physically beat somebody in order for them to be accepted into my fraternity. And then you have this also the psychological thing of, well, you're called.
All right. So that's Roland Martin. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of Roland Martin. And as you see, he wanted to make a lot of separation between white fraternities and black fraternities. Anyway, with that being said, coming from someone who was in a brotherhood, going through Freemason back in the day, all this stuff is satanic. All this stuff is for the devil. Period, point blank. People could call it a brotherhood. People can call it whatever they want. I know all these little secrets. You all are worshiping to other gods, other idols, not gods, but idols. You're doing certain symbols. You're making certain movements. These are all in the Bible. It all speaks about this. These are things that we should not be doing. but that's neither here or there. What I'm really more concerned about is Pastor Jamal Bryant, who normally supports everything black, is nowhere to be found on this topic. And the reason why it bothers me because he is part of the Divine Nine. He has pledged for a fraternity. I want to say he's a Q. I know Ricky Smiley's a Q dog. I know there's a lot of celebrities out there who are Qs, but no one seems to be speaking up. I guess it's a society with what they say is a secret society, but they're not a secret society. They're a society with secrets. And it's very interesting to me that we will again, this stuff all ties together. I know you guys get tired of hearing it and get tired of hearing people beat the dead horse, but this stuff all goes together. We can't not special put one thing in a box like DEI or boycott and Target and then not talk about, from my last episode, black on black crime, not talking about the hazing in these predominantly black fraternities. This is not the first person to lose their life in a fraternity hazing as well. It's just one that we're hearing about today. But it's very unique to me that where are these celebrities who are Omega Psi Phi? Where are y'all? Where are your voices? Where are you saying that this is not appropriate? Even though I'm not a fan of Roland Martin, I can appreciate that he's giving his opinion on what he doesn't like, that he doesn't like hazing. Like he said, he's pledged for Alpha Phi Alpha for the past 36 years. If that's what he wants to do, cool. I know some people who are alphas as well. I tell people, to each his own. I'm not here to judge. That's not my job. I'm not here to be judge or jury. But we all know what the great Bible says and what the word says about worshiping idols, doing any rituals, because you do rituals. We did the same thing when I was going through being raised as a Mason. So I'm very familiar with this. I'm not speaking about this without having any experience with brotherhoods or societies. With that being said, again, you can find a bunch of videos on YouTube and everything about people who are actually starting to actually go away from being part of their fraternities. People who are denouncing their letters because of demonic attacks, things of that nature. But again, a lot of people aren't going to want to hear that. They're going to say that's a conspiracy, things of that nature. But with that being said, it's very interesting to me how other people aren't speaking out about this young man who lost his life in Louisiana after being punched in the chest 4 times by one of the young men that you've seen. It was actually 3 young men who are being found guilty or allegedly being charged with these charges. I'm sure maybe the young man had a medical history or something of that nature, but to be punched 4 times in the chest that hard and to lose your life, that's something serious. You know what I mean? So I really send prayers out to the family of this young man. But again, like Roland Martin said, why do we need to haze people? Because technically all they need to do is know their knowledge. So that doesn't really take hazing to know knowledge. We shouldn't have to shave people's heads bald. We shouldn't have to do all these things to identify with a certain group. Anytime that you have to change who you are and alter who you are and alter how you look, you are now doing routines and rituals. So again, that's to each his own. We're going to hear a little bit more from Roland Martin and we're going to move on. But again, prayers to the family of this young man. Sound like his dad was a Q dog too. And like the young lady said on the news, who would want to be a legacy member of a fraternity who allegedly killed your son? Are you going to still pledge? Are you still going to want those brands on your body? Something to think about. But I don't hear none of the Qs I know talking about this. I know a couple of you out there who like to voice your opinions about everything else. You like to voice about President Trump. You like to voice about F around and find out. But we haven't found out how you felt about this situation. But maybe y'all already had your little internal meeting and they told you not to say nothing. So you're going to shut up and be quiet.
A paper member, or you skated into the fraternity, meaning it was easy for you. And so it's the peer pressure. And I've made it clear, I don't give a damn what you think. The reality is what makes a great alpha like a Thurgood Marshall or Dr. King or Jesse Owens. It's not what they accomplished in college, it's what they did after college. And so that's the problem. We have individuals who are committing heinous crimes. And these individuals, if they're found guilty, should go to prison, every single one of them, because that young man is now dead. He will never even be called a brother because he never finished the process. And that's what's so shameful about this.
And Roland, I mean, we've heard about these cases before. We've heard about plenty of them in the news before that have, of these hazing cases that have resulted in death. They've been addressed on campuses around the country for years. What more needs to be done?
The only way you deter this is if you send people to prison, because every organization has changed the process.
All right, we appreciate you, Roland Martin. We appreciate what you had to say about that. I do agree with him. I feel like these people should get what's deserved to them when it comes to any time that needs to be served, for sure. But with that being said, you know, you've seen that young man's pictures. He was a part of the Southern Band, the Human Jukebox, great band. So, I mean, he was a very, 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 very talented trumpet player. He was a very well-known member of Southern University. And I think when things like this happen, we need to shut down the doors, man. But I really want to hear for some other cues. You can go in the comments, but you probably can't say anything because you've been told